What's up guys, it's Mike for Sim Racing 604 and just in time for race 1 of my league at this very track. Welcome to the 4th installment of my track guide series. As I stated in the other videos, I'm not an alien level driver, so these tips aren't aimed at experts, but if you're a new sim racer or someone struggling to find pace or consistency, there may be value for you here. Today's track, as I'm sure you're aware of by now, is the Nurburgring GP circuit. This is not the Nordschleife, which I covered in a previous video. This is the Grand Prix race course that hosts GT and even F1 races this year. And one more caveat about the layout, this is the GP GT layout that you might know from Assetto Corsa Competizione. The layout with the GT suffix has a less severe final chicane, and for the final time in this series I'll be using the RSS Bayro V6 in Assetto Corsa with a stock setup, and I'll take you around the course at 1/4 speed and give you some tips and things I like to keep in mind while I drive the circuit, and then I'll show you my lap at full speed. Enjoy guys. Alright guys, so here we are exiting the final corner and about to begin our lap at the Nürburgring GP layout. This start-finish straight here, very simple. We're just going to hold left the whole time. DRS zone, you saw it, we just passed it, so DRS would be open now if you had a DRS equipped car. So blasting down the start-finish straight, as I said, staying left here as we go under the BMW sign. You can see the road just kind of disappears in front of us. The pits are on the right there, and the road just kind of falls away into nothingness, and that is actually an ominous sign because the dangerous turn 1, which is always not always a disaster, but always a challenge in online racing, is just ahead of us, as well as what I would argue is the most technical section of the track. That is the infield section that we are about to enter. That 150 sign on your left there, we don't have to quite brake yet, but certainly before the 100 mark we will begin our braking, and it's downhill, so give yourself a little bit of extra room here. You can see the curbing off to the right there. We're going to aim for that apex. There's a cone there. It's kind of over a crest, so you see the nose dive right about now. So that does weird things with the car, so just be mindful that there is a crest you go over if you go too far inside turn 1 at the Nürburgring GP. We are now in the infield section, and as you can see, another blind corner as we come over a crest here. This Mercedes arena, very difficult. We're going to have to just modulate our throttle as we go around to the left here. We have a cone, thankfully, marking the apex, and that is the only really sign we have to go by, and shortly after that we're going to begin applying throttle. Very tough one to judge because again it's going over a crest, it's hard to see, but you're going to try and get on the throttle as early as possible and fade the car off to the right without going too far to the right or getting on too late and staying too far to the left. So we're going now into a slow left-hander here. This I suspect would be one of the slower corners on the track. And I'm all the way down into first gear, making my way around at about the 90 km/h point and falling actually. Sorry, that's going to be closer to 80. And then staying left here because we're going to enter a slow right-hander, still in first gear here, was up near the 100 km/h mark, but you can see that falling away again. So just past the apex here, we're going to punch the throttle. We've got a lot of track to work with on the left here. Be mindful though, if you go too far left, you will get a warning for track limits in a lot of sims. So I put 2 tires off, keep 2 tires on. And then we're punching it down this little mini straight here. Good news is you've pretty much worked through the worst of the course at this point. So the rest of it is just sort of managing your speed on what I would say are pretty overall simple corners for the entire remainder of the track. This is about the end of Sector 1, and the Sector 2 and 3 are much easier, I would argue. Cones on the right there, just past the cones, I like to start my braking down into this left-hander. The left-hander is actually pretty fast, so you can do some pretty interesting trail braking things here as you approach the apex, and then get on the throttle nice and early on the exit. And then this is a weird approach here for this next right-hander. You want to stay kind of neutral on the track rather than trying to dart to the left and get the best approach angle. You actually want to stay fairly neutral. Down 1 gear and then around this corner. It's a fairly long corner, but fairly simple as long as your approach speed is okay. So as soon as possible, you can see how early I'm full throttle here, letting the traction control really do the work here. If you don't have traction control, just be a little bit more mindful of your throttle application. 2 tires way off the track there, 2 tires still on. I kind of straddled the curbing there. And then we go down this hill. Really love this view. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful view of a racetrack. And coming into the southernmost point of the track. So just kind of keeping our left tires as close to that white line as possible. Just gently making our way around. You can see the curbing on the left there. And shortly after that curbing starts, shortly after we have the entire car past the curbing, we're going to brake. I like to go down into second gear. This can be taken in first gear depending on the car you're in, but either way, as you can see on the track map in the lower left there, it's a very, very tight corner. So patience going around here. Patience, 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 and then start building as soon as possible. You can see me building, and I am full throttle on corner exit. Same thing we did before. I'm going to sort of straddle this curbing. I've got 2 tires on the good track, 2 tires on that green strip on the left there, which allows me full traction, and I kind of shoot out of that corner. Really love that exit. And then we approach the Schumacher S. Some cars, you might have to tap the brakes here. It is uphill, so you can carry a lot of speed, but a lot of cars, you tap the brakes. Me, I just lifted and just gently turn in the car, getting on that apex, and then the second part of it, definitely flat out. Hitting that apex, no problem. Then just gently work your way to the left here. No need to go too far to the left here. I think I kept all 4 tires on, and you should be fine with that. Making your way up the hill here. This is a great passing zone as we approach the left-hander, and where it flips to that green in front of us, you can see the green curbing on the right there. Just before that, you want to get on the brakes. Don't go too far out. You put 2 tires out there, it tends to be very dirty and can lose you a lot of grip. So we're going to make our way around here. I'm in second gear. You could definitely do this in third gear. I don't know why I went down to second, quite frankly. And then fading, and then similar to what we did before with the corner at the end of sector 1, you want to kind of just make your way to a neutral position and then dive in again for the right-hander here, and then just past the apex, punch it full throttle here. Be mindful there's grass off to the left, not a lot to work with here. Again, I'm straddling that curb. That little green curb section just past the red and white curb can be your friend. Really gives you a lot of grip in addition to the 2 tires you're keeping on the track. Then staying left just for a moment here, you can see that corner. This is one of the few corners on this entire track that you can see beginning, middle, and end of. So no problem here, just kind of fading in. You can put 2 tires in there. Just be warned that at this speed, if you take that curb there too aggressively, it can upset the car, but you should be okay overall. So to our right, over that hill, is the start-finish straight. So we're almost done here. And looking for those signboards on the right. They're low, but you can see them just past the 100. I'm going to go from 6th gear down into 3rd. 1, 2, and 3 into the chicane. Be careful of that big curb with the cone on it inside. That will upset the car. So I'm just going to keep the tires slightly away from that. Same as the second part. Just be mindful of that big curb on the inside. I managed to avoid it, looking pretty good here. And a nice wide finish. Setting up for the final right-hander here. This is going to be a pretty slow curve. So I'm taking it in second gear. You can see that speed falling away down near the 100 km/h mark and just modulating the throttle. You see the throttle in the lower left there. Just giving it as much as I can right at the edge of traction. Then as soon as we pass the apex, boom, punch it. And that pretty much wraps up our lap here. So just fading left there. Be careful not to catch too much curb. That curb is pretty rough, so if you get on it too much, you will lose traction. But that looks to be a safe finish here. So we're going to cross the start-finish line momentarily. That's it coming into view now, and we are past to finish our lap. So let's take a look at what that looks like at full speed.